Hey everybody, welcome to Guitarate.com, what to play and what to teach. So yeah, this is a guitar curriculum website, a big old index of riffs, changes, teaching concepts, note melodies, and full guitar parts that you can play for yourself or teach to your students, all divided into 8 learning levels, or belts. Okay, if you're the kind of person who likes to figure stuff out on your own by just messing around, and if you're a guitarist, there's a good chance that that's the kind of person you are, just start clicking on the belt colors at the top of the page and you start to get a pretty good idea of what's going on here. Otherwise, let me give you my 2 cents of an introduction about it. I'll tell you how and why this website got started and what you can do to contribute your own ideas and suggestions and links to help make it better day by day. Alright, so I was lucky enough to grow up in a scene where whoever learned the newest riffs was like the coolest kid in middle school that day. And though it wasn't hard to find riffs to play back then, it was kind of hard to find easier riffs that you could play at all, you know, because we weren't that good yet. I mean, we got by all right, but what slowed us down was that there wasn't a good way to tell which guitar parts were easier and which ones were harder. It was like sometimes you could pick up a riff in a couple of minutes, and other times we'd just sit there forever, you know, just plinking away, trying to make sense of sketchy 1990s internet tabs, and it'd just be like, no freaking way, dudes. This doesn't make any sense. I hate you guys. Bottom line is no one likes to get discouraged by picking a song that's too hard. Or even on the other side, learning a song that's too like Polly Wolly, Yankee Doodle boring. Anyways, I started running into the same kind of challenge after I graduated from music school, and I needed to find some songs that I could teach my students that lined up with whatever ability level they were at. And to tell you the truth, for the first couple of years, I'd just sort of wing it, you know? But then I got better at winging it. And then I started writing down songs and parts that seemed to work pretty well for different levels. And then Google Spreadsheets came along. So I started to plug in all that lesson data, song by song, lesson by lesson, into this new format. Then I started adding other fields to the spreadsheets, like a riff's maximum BPM subdivision or speed, and whether it needed a capo or an alternative tuning, challenges specific to the song, inside jokes, stuff like that. And then I got married. I know, what's that got to do with anything? But yeah, my wife's a K-5 music teacher in the public schools. And one day she told me about this one unit she teaches called Recorder Karate. And how every time a kid passes a certain song level, they get a new level-colored piece of string to tie around their recorder. I mean, I guess some kids just go nuts for it, you know? They love the tangible aspect of knowing when they've reached that next level, you know, and they can see it. And then it just kind of hit me, you know? I don't have anything like that for my students. I've never even heard of anything like that. No benchmarks, no merit badges, no belts, no tangible way to let my guitar students know they've reached that next level of playing. I mean, I always just kind of took it for granted that when I was a kid, teenager or whatever, the incentive was just being cool, you know, getting so good that you could start a band with your friends and then get a gig at like the park board, and then, you know, hopefully Stacy would come and you'd be like, hey Stacy, check out my guitar skills, la 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 la. You know, or even just like, hey me, you like my rock skills, me? You know, just feeling cool for your own self. I mean, that's why you practiced. And that's still probably the best reason to practice. But still, I never stopped thinking about those colored level belts. So yeah, it wasn't long before I was thinking, what about guitar karate? And you know, the end of this word is a lot like the start of the other word. Guitar, karate, guitarati. Of course, then I did what anyone does nowadays when they think of something that they think is cool. I Googled it, and other like ideas like guitar curriculum or guitar repertoire, and what I found was a lot of lists of like orders to learn your scales in, you know, orders to learn your chords in, and other concepts like that, but no songs, you know, no nothing. Just stuff like 10 easy songs to play using only 3 chords, or the 5 most shred-tastic riffs ever, and stuff like that. So then I was like, all right, looks like I could probably do something worthwhile here. And so I started to scroll through my Google lesson data spreadsheets for ideas. The first thing that stood out to me was that I had almost 400 tunes with recorded maximum BPM subdivisions. And I use these to tell how fast you need to pick or strum in order to play a song. So that's where I started. You know, I divided up those 400 tunes into 8 levels based on karate belt colors. There's a huge variety of color orders out there in the karate world, so I just picked one that seemed to be somewhat popular. Anyways, after I had that starting point, I started going through the list, one song at a time, to see if I thought that that song's actual difficulty matched up with its BPM max speed or not. If it did match, I keep the song in that belt level average. But if I felt like it was easier than the speed suggested, I'd knock it down a belt or even two. Likewise, if a riff was harder than its speed suggested, I'd move it up to a harder level. And after I had that whole part humming along, I figured I should include some scales, chords, concepts, and exercises too, like I'd found in my original exploratory search. So I worked on an inventory of all the guitar basics and extra tricks and concepts I knew about, and I divided those up equally into my 8 levels in a way that made sense to me. And that's all the further I'll go into it for now, but there is more info on the levels in each belt's page if you want more specifics. Just keep in mind that this is a living, breathing index database. I've already been using this info for years in order to help me find cool stuff to teach my students, and I'm adding to it all the time, tweaking it, making it better, changing my mind, doing the best I can. But you know what? One of the main reasons I wanted to put it online was so that other guitarists could use it too and even help me make it better. So yeah, if you see anything that you think needs changing or you think you have anything new to add, feel free to write down your ideas and suggestions in the comments. I especially want to point out that one of the newest and most empty fields in the database so far are the links fields. So yeah, whether you're a teacher who's got a dope lesson online or a student or a fan who's knows of a dope lesson online, I'd really appreciate it if you would submit the link in the comments section below the list. And I'll paste it, in here somewhere within a couple of days. Again, the goal of this website is to be a comprehensive resource for anybody, whether they need a new song or exercise idea to add to their own bag of stuff they can play, or, they're looking for something to teach their students so they can add it to their bags of stuff that they play. The bottom line is that you or your students are going to be more passionate about learning songs and riffs if they're at levels that challenge you, but at the same time, they're not so hard that it's all like, this sucks, where's my Xbox? All right, before we go, I'd like to ask you to like us on Facebook or subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Twitter. And if you really like what's going on here, you can donate to the site's upkeep by using the PayPal donate button. Or you could support the site by buying something through our sponsor link on the right side of your screen, like maybe some picks or strings or even guitars. Okay, whether you go full out and start tying colored ribbons, to yours or your students' headstocks once you get good at a level, or if you just end up using the belt levels for general ideas. Thanks so much for visiting, and check back often, because there's always new what to play and what to teach ideas and links being added all the time. All right, let's talk more rock and go find something to play or teach.